still going to have an impact on me. And it's really about trying to change our body so that we can adapt best to the situation. I'm focused on something that's dangerous, that's critical. I want my attention to be on that. I don't want it to be on other things. So my brain is going to shift my focus to that thing, and it's going to kind of tune out other things. Now, that can be helpful and adaptive, right? If I'm problem solving, if I'm trying to get out. That can also be unhelpful. Sometimes we talk about the difference between problem solving thoughts and kind of rumination thoughts, right? So, what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment is to close your eyes and to imagine a situation that may be somewhat stressful. It's going to involve driving, it's going to involve some risk, some danger, possibly a car accident. So if that's something you've experienced, if that's something that does stress you out, and you don't want to participate, feel free not to. But what I would like everyone to do, and you can choose to close your eyes or not, but if you want to participate, close your eyes, and I'm going to kind of paint a scenario, and I want you to imagine yourself in that situation. As you are imagining that, did anyone in this room notice anything, either in your body or in your head? Did anyone notice a change from how your body was operating before you started doing that to when you were thinking about it? Yeah. And if you did, is anyone willing to share?
My heart rate went up a little bit.
Good. Heart rate went up. Anything else? Anyone notice anything else?
I was just trying to perceive how I was going to get out of it.
Okay.
So how I was going to maneuver tactically.
Okay, yeah, so your brain went to kind of problem solving mode, right? Trying to figure out the options. Okay.
And you relate to your past experiences.
Okay. Yeah, so you started thinking kind of experiences when you've been in the past and kind of what you could do. Sitting in this room thinking about a situation can, for some people, bring up the same feelings as if they were actually in the situation, right? That's going to be important when we talk about sort of trauma and stress, that our body responds to things, whether they're happening or whether we're thinking about them happening. We call this the freeze response, right? Typically, this is, think of like a prey animal, right? If a rabbit is being chased by a coyote or a dog, it's going to hide, right? It's going to shut down. It doesn't want to make any noise because it doesn't want to get eaten, right? So this freeze response really is not just like, oh, I'm hiding. Really, the thinking part of the brain, the judgment part of the brain shuts down, and we're just in this survival mode. And so it is harder to think clearly. It's harder to process information. This part of the brain doesn't really do like language processing. So if you're trying to have a conversation with somebody who's in this mode, they're not going to understand you that well. They're not going to process what you're saying all that well. They just want to get out of the situation. Oftentimes these responses are learned because of things that have happened. So people that have survived abuse, people that have survived chaotic environments, right? They may have grown up in a situation where if they spoke out or if they made noise, they could get hurt. And so they have sort of learned when they're in these situations to hide and to not attract attention. The freeze response is, I want to hide so I don't get hurt. This appease response is I want to do something to the other person so that they don't see me as a threat and so that I minimize my chances of getting hurt. And so this can look like, somebody looking down, not making eye contact, right? Speaking softly. Sometimes we'll see people use humor.
So often it's hard to differentiate unless it's a known player. So
We're seeing a huge combination of both.
yeah. Oftentimes people with severe mental illness self-medicate. So
Yeah, you kind of got both ways around, right? Somebody who has mental illness might be self-medicating, but then also substance use can trigger sort of a psychotic episode, right? So you can kind of see either or. Just this idea of, simple, direct, clear, repetitive, right? Repeating ourselves a lot. Just some minor language tweaks, right? Using the word and instead of but kind of makes it so that, you're kind of joining with them, right? But it's kind of one of those words that sort of negates what comes after it, right? It kind of changes the meaning. So if you say, I like you, but, you're kind of annoying, right? Like, okay, you don't really like the person, right? So when we use the word but, it kind of changes the meaning. When we use the word and, it kind of joins with it, right? I can see that you're very upset, and I need you to take a step back, right? Right? You can't sort of react to everything. or else you just, it wouldn't be possible. So you do have to kind of develop this sort of professional persona, right? Where you're able to kind of be in the situation and see these things and not take everything personal, not react to it, which is helpful. What we want to be aware of is, are we leaving that karmic work, or are we taking that with us outside? Are we doing that with our personal relationships, right? Are we not caring about what's happening to the people around us? Are we not interested in their lives? Do we get home and we're so tired that we're like, I spent all day dealing with problems, I can't deal with the problem at home, right? I just need to kind of shut myself away. And so we want to pay attention to sort of what a healthy kind of detachment looks like and what that sort of numbing kind of unhealthy detachment looks like.